Now,
So this is weird. I have a lovely tendency to judge you all instead of me actually speaking. And now you're judging me. It's quite intimidating. So there's... I found it quite cliche that people have been coming up here and telling us, like, I've got 3 points to tell you, but I genuinely do, and they could be considered as funny. I don't know. I find it funny, and there's things like that. But either way, I'm going to, like, follow on what, Kara said about physical exercise. So for somebody that may or may not know me, I somewhat applied to do a master's out of avoiding the real world, because that's things that people do. And they gave me 10 grand to do it. I mean, I might as well do that sort of thing. So what came with the masters was a lot of what people would call just avoiding things, like doing the masters. So not only do I do debating, I also am a barmaid and I work 5 days a week. I also teach debate bait. I also am on the PG board, which is what a postgraduate board, which is like just the administrator for the postgraduates. I also am on the darts team. I'm also on the pool team. I also do a lot of things just to avoid doing my masters in general. But then I got coerced to join the netball team because obviously there's all of the other teams which people want me to be part of. Apart from speaking. So I joined the netball team, which was quite fun because I've not played netball since I was like 11 years old, and I can tell you something that I grew, and I didn't grow that much because I'm still wearing heels now, but when I was 11 I was like yay big, and that netball, it was quite high, and I was still shit then. But either way, I joined the netball team. I played my first ever match, which was long, and I've not done a physical activity for a long time. I mean, the most physical activity that I did was at like Sheffield when I climbed all those stairs. So to get to the different rooms. That was like the last time I did like physical activity. Either way, I ran around a lot and I was a really goal shooter, and this is like you run around a D, which could be considered as funny because it's D. But either way, I ran around this D for a while and was goalkeeper. I spent my life running around D's. Either way, I was running around this D, and after, so you've got 50, you've got four matches. I still don't know the rules. The goal shooter was telling me the rules as I was playing, but he was fortunately called Hannah. So when people were like, "You're doing a great job, Hannah," I was like, "Oh shit, you're on the wrong team." But either way, she told me the rules, and I got nominated Man of the Match. I mean, Man of the Match. What else better could I have been nominated? Man of the Match. Either way, I was quite proud of it either way, because if anything, I could quite associate with that, obviously. But I had quite a good game, and then I played my second match. I was eagerly thrilled that I learned how to play netball. And then after 6 minutes, I caught the ball, broke my fingers in half, and they're still pretty blue now. So now I'm not engaging in physical activity anymore to try and enhance my exterior, because you seem to break it if you actually. Either way, 3 points for you today. So I don't know if anybody else out there studies politics, philosophy, religion. Life is shit when you study those kind of things. I mean, you go into everyday life, you just sort of talk to people and they just don't know what to say to you. You get into a taxi, which is my obvious thing that I do because I just don't like physical activity. You get into a taxi, so what do you study? So in my undergrad I did ethics, philosophy and religion as my undergrad. All those 3 words. And I think a few people came up to me and went, I know a few of those words. And they are things. And I was like, yeah. They was like, so what sort of things do you do? I'm like, technically, usually ethics and some philosophy, religion. Those are a few. So it usually goes around those sentences. But now I'm doing my Masters in Religion and Conflict, which obviously is fun. Some may say. I don't know. But either way, so going to sort of different places, I recently went to Sainsbury's to get my flu jab and paid for it. I have asthma, which was sad, because I didn't have proof. But either way, I went to Sainsbury's, and this guy is a Muslim who was thoroughly enjoyed a very lovely conversation with him about how I didn't need to pay if I had proof, but either way, I didn't have proof, and he was very much trying to push me to be like, do you have proof? If you have proof, you get it for free. And I'm like, I just don't have proof. I'm sorry, this is just not going to happen. Either way, said guy with needle then asks me, so what do you do at university? I study religion and conflict. And he goes, oh, that's really interesting. Do you do Islam? And I'm like, yeah, I study a lot to do with Islam. It's usually a thing that I do. There's a lot to do in the news with Islam. I mean, I don't know if anybody noticed, it's that minor thing that happens every now and then. But either way, I study that, and then he proceeds to turn around and say, it's just the best religion, isn't it? Guy with needle in. I then proceed to say yes. Can you tell I thoroughly enjoy Islam? Stab me in the arm, please. He then stabs me in the arm, it hurt lots, and then I had a dead arm for 3 days, but I can play netball, so it was fine. Either way, so it's more occurrences like that. I mean, when you study religion and people turn to you, for example, I was just casually on the street, just talking to any old stranger, because that's what we do in the north, and so what do you study at university? Oh yeah, I do religion and conflict. Oh, that's really interesting. Do you want to become like a priest? I'm like, oh, no, I definitely want to like train to be a terrorist. Religion and conflict. It's what I study. A priest. I mean, yeah, sometimes I think it might be a good idea. I mean, to be honest, the guy who used to sit next to me in my class actually was studying to be a priest. And I was like, it's really good of you for studying to be a priest. But why are you studying religion? Like, how does that work? Either way, he then went on to be a priest, and he's a great guy, and he's lovely, but he just was not liberal at all. And as Matt Oldham was explaining earlier, trying to explain to be like the best liberal person ever is like the hardest thing ever. Either way, so yeah, dentists are fun when you're trying to explain to them. Do you know when they have all those very sharp instruments in your mouth? And you're trying to explain to them what you do at university, and you're like, it doesn't work. But either way, when you actually do try and get around to them, and they've got those very sharp instruments, and they go, oh God, those goddamn Muslimists, they're so fucking terrible, aren't they? And I'm like, yes, those Muslimists are awful. Like, I just cannot stand them at all. Oh, I love them, that's right. Either way, some people just don't know, and I just sort of grit my teeth. I mean, when I'm at the dentist, it's quite hard, but you do have to sort of like hold back and disagree, because they have like sharp things near you, and you panic. And either way, so my mum is another interesting one. So my dissertation is on the age of Western Enlightenment. To what extent is the West actually enlightened? I don't know. I had to do a master's presentation, which I was unwillingly unprepared for, as always, because I spend my life drinking and doing alternative things to my masters, and I also was at Newcastle IB when I realised I actually had this presentation, and realised I had 2 days to prepare for it and didn't want to do it. And someone said to me, so why is your dissertation actually important? And I just stood there blankly looking at them going, is this a PR? Have you not seen the news? It's really important. Like, we need to study these things. And then they just went, okay, yeah, that's fine. I was like, I successfully did that. Why? Either way, so trying to debate your way through life is hard either way, because no one understands what you're doing. But my mum, I said to her, because I'm looking at the East, I was like, so, my mum and my auntie, so I was like, so how do you guys define the East? My auntie cleverly turns around and she goes, geographically. That is the East. And I was like, wow, you have conquered the World War. Wow. And then I said to my mum, she very cleverly, she tries to engage in these sort of conversations with me, which we're trying to promote because she doesn't really talk much. And like, it's quite problematic because she doesn't know any fuck that she's saying. She just sort of like tries, and then we cheer and we clap because she said something clever. And she says, I'm like, so Mum, what would you describe as the East? She goes, Islam. I was like, yes, you're so good, and I love you for that. Yeah, it's really hard. But you've got to love mothers because they somewhat just don't want you to grow up. And I try and promote that actively. So when we go to Sainsbury's, and she goes, I'm just going to go to the toilet. So she drifts off, and then I take the trolley halfway around Asda, progressively put all the biscuits in the trolley, including all the alcohol, so much so that the Asda assistant turned around and said, I'm sorry, love, you're only allowed like 2 of those bottles because they're discounted, and we don't want you to sell them on. So you're only allowed 2 of those. And I was like, no, just wait. My mum's coming back, and I will put them back. And this is going to be hilarious, I promise. And she just sort of looked at me like, okay. And I was like, yeah, it's going to be fine, it's going to be fine. So then, in addition to all this, I had 2 massive dinosaur toys, which I then progressively put in the trolley as well. So the trolley was like yay big, we'd all just walked in. And she comes out of the toilet, and she must have stood where Eleanor is, right? So me being my mum just sort of looked from a distance and just went under her breath so I couldn't hear her. What the fuck are you doing? And me stood where Eleanor is, it's just like, this wasn't me. This wasn't here. Said assistant in Ulster. Are you guys okay? And then my mum goes, put it back. No. But I didn't do it. It wasn't me. Should we get it anyway? So after a big shout with the assistant, I had to take the bottles out of the trolley, and we couldn't get those 17 bottles of Baileys, unfortunately. So our Christmas is ruined, and I can't drink Baileys anymore. We got 2, but it's fine. Then we got back and got an extra 2. And so we defeated that object. But either way, mothers are lovely, and you can't appreciate them enough, because they're pretty fabulous. And my mum just, she did like, so my mum, she tries to be liberal, and there's certain levels of liberal which you can't jump past with your mum. For example, don't ever talk to your parent about sex, it's weird, and it's weird. And for example, when I said to my mum, I instead of saying to my mum, oh yeah, I went to the gun clinic to get an STI check because I'm like that, instead of saying that, I said, oh, I went to family planning, you know, just to make it a little bit more, I didn't go to the gun clinic. She turns to me, she goes, what? Family planning? What the fuck are you thinking, Hannah? You can't have a kid right now. It's like, I don't know family planning there. It's just another place that's called family planning. And my auntie knew that I went to the gun clinic just check myself out. And she was just like, Trace, she didn't go to family planning. She doesn't want a kid. And I was like, Mum, I don't want a kid. She goes, why the fuck did you go to family planning, Hannah? You've got a career ahead of you. You're going to go to university. You're going to do all these things. And I was like, I didn't go to family planning. Either way, don't talk to your mum about that because it's weird. But along those lines, yeah, you just don't talk to your parents about being liberal and stuff like that, because my mum obviously finds it hilarious when she decides to post all over my Facebook, Hannah, smile, because I paid for those teeth. Well, she fucking didn't. The NHS did, right? And that orthodontist was great. Either way, she then progressively goes on to explain that no matter what I'm wearing in any of my profile pictures, she doesn't care as long as I show it off and get everything that I want. So then she goes on to, I don't know where you got those boobs from, Hannah, but, you know, show them off because you can get anything you want. And it's weird when your mum says that. Like, really, really weird. To the point where she then, in front of friends, goes up to you, squeeze your boobs and goes, these weren't inherited from me. I mean, look. I have nothing. And for anybody who's met my mum, she thinks she's cool, and she's not. And it's weird. But you have to appreciate them, because they're your mum. She's getting me a lot for Christmas, so yeah. Anyway, thank you.